Hi, I'm Willa Wirth, and today we're gonna make one of my full moon medallions. This is a sterling design that is an absolute signature of mine, and it's an all-time favorite. I photograph the moon every full moon. I have for 20 years, and I make a piece on the moon. So please come along with me, and I'm gonna show you how. And on top of that, if you enjoy this show after you watch it, please smash the like button. Onward we go to make my absolutely favorite design, the moon. Here we have 10 gauge sterling silver wire, grabbing a mandrel, flipping it over. Using the end of the mandrel, I'm going to put my thumb right here on the sterling as I spin it around tightly. See, nice and tight. Good. A little bit further. Great. Okay. Now let's look at what we've got here. This is it. This is the circle of the moon. Now, we need to cut it here with the Xuron flush cutters. Notice on one side you see here, it's flush, right? And the other side, there's a groove. We're going to cut it so the flush side is going to create a nice clean edge. Angle it down so you don't hit anyone in the eye, God forbid. There, nice and clean. Flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. So we have a nice clean edge right there. Okay. Angle it down, good. Now you see, there's our shape. We've got to bend it back and forth a few times so we can get it to really line up perfectly in the middle. Let me show you. That way. Okay, a little bit that way. A little more, and now in the center. Good, just like that. Now I'm going to touch it with my thumb to make sure that there's not any sharp edges and it's lined up perfectly. It feels great. And that's how you know. You can feel it with your thumb. Right there. Perfect. With soldering, we want to make sure that we put flux right on this joint. So I'm going to take a little flux. This is Prips flux, and just go 1, 2, good enough. Next thing, acetylene torch. Turn it on. Boom. Again, every time. A quick tip, no pun intended. That's one of my favorite lines with the torch is, too loud if you hear it. Right here is where it's the hottest. Over here, the most inefficient. And over here, it's a mess. Let's turn it down. Get that nice sound. That's exactly the way we want it to be. Secondly, silver heats centrally rather than locally. So I'm going to move my torch all the way around, several rotations, just to get it nice and hot, even though I'm going to be soldering right here in this joint. So watch that flame. If you're seeing that beautiful kind of orangey, sparkly, that's the flux burning off. So now I like to control my torch. I'm heating it up a little louder than I said because I have a little rhyme behind my reason. Now I'm going to turn it down. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little more focused on the area. And I'm going to do circles in that area. I'm changing with my right hand, and I'm going to get this solder right here. And I'm going to hand feed, which means I'm going to put the solder right into the joint. It's real quick, just like that. And the second you know it's soldered, you can see it and then quenched. I can literally pick it up with my hand. So our soldered circle is on the hammer block, and I'm just gonna add a little flattening to the edge here. So the way I do that, again, I use the flat side of the planishing hammer, and I hit it head on as opposed to at an angle. Here we go. By the way, I'm going to spin the piece as I hammer. And that's about it. I just want a nice edge, as you can see. Even though the material right here does have a little bit of a texture, that's called fire scale. And it's the impurities from the sterling when it's heated. It does create a little bit of that surface, but that's gonna go right away once we give it a little acid bath. So the next phase, we will be putting the granulation inside the moon and then soldering it. So let's do that now. Okay, so the next step is putting the light into the moon. And how I do that is I use granulation. And what that is, that's this. These are these sterling silver balls, and it's called granulation. And a lot of jewelers get it for casting, and they melt it down and they do molds with it. And I think it's so beautiful. I put it into my work because I don't know who wouldn't. So with that said, I literally take the granulation and I pour it right into the design. I have just the right amount here that's gonna fit into this moon. So here I'm gonna just pour it right in. I'm fairly liberal with how I like it to look. And then I use my finger and I just kind of press it in there. And I kind of look around and think, I think we'll put this one over here. Let's just do that again. I know my finger's in the way, but it will be for a second, and then I'll show you what I got cooking. And then I realize I'm exactly where I want it to be. And now we're gonna solder it. All right, so let's solder this. Again, flux, always. You're not gonna put a torch to something without flux, or else the solder's not gonna flow smoothly. That's the purpose of it. So when that fire hits it, it's just gonna, without the flux, it will bead, it will be a mess. So let's avoid that. And here I'm gonna spray the flux on it. Again, I'm very liberal about it. Some jewelers like to be really, really particular. I say go for it, That way, it's on there. So let's fire up the torch. Here we go. Tune it down, not too loud. Here, torch the whole thing. This is tricky because we have a thick piece of metal here, and then we have all these little dots. The little dots are gonna take that heat more than anything, and they're gonna wanna melt, and it's like mercury. The whole thing will merge. So you have to keep the heat on the outside, do a dance with the torch, let it all heat up, then I come in the middle a little bit, get that heated, go back to the outside. I like to tune my torch up just for the heating part. Right here I have medium solder in my hand. I'm tuning down my torch and I'm gonna feed this. This is the most exciting thing to watch, so join me in this as the solder starts to take. When it's ready, that is. Give me a sec, we're almost there. One little final spot, this little ball rolled out. We're going to put it right back in its little perspective spot. And then I'm going to use my little tweezers here, little pliers, to get some of these final pieces in there. There. All right, and that's it. So right into our little water bath to quench it. Here we go. There it is. You can touch it right after that. 2,000 degrees, right to room temp. Polishing the moon is straightforward. Right against the wheel, moving it around. Keep changing how you're holding it. Otherwise, the silver gets really hot when you're polishing and you don't want to burn your fingertips. So the second thing before I turn it on is we put the ZAM right on the wheel. My absolute favorite compound, ZAM, love it. Let's do this. Let's bring this moon to light. ZAM we go, or Shazam I like to say. See how we're doing, making some progress. Woo, getting hot. There she is. Now it's time to put the chain on our fabulous illuminated moon. I did just drill 2 holes here with my drill press, and I used a 16 gauge drill bit, so I have a nice large opening that an 18 gauge jump ring is going to fit perfectly in. So here I'm going to take this 18 gauge. Whoop. Hey, waste not, want not. We'll find another one. 18 gauge jump ring. This is a 4.5 millimeter round. Goes right into the moon. I'm going to take this chain and we're going to hand feed it right on there. Grab those needle nose. And we're going to get a grip. I think we all need to get a grip every once in a while. And then here we go, nice and tight. So I'm going to do the other side. I get the other end of the chain right on the block so I know when I need that chain exactly where it's going to be. Again, we have the flat nose, needle nose pliers. They're both flat. And feed that end of that chain in there. Go right into our moon. And there we go. Close that gap. And here we go. Our moon is now ready to shine. Hi, I'm Willa Wirth, and thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to find this piece on my website, go to willawirth.com and go to the Moon Collection. There's also a link below. And if you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button. Thanks again.
Feel the music now, open the door.